In the previous lectures, we learned how to detect ARP spoofing attacks by manually analyzing the ARP tables. We also learned how to install tools such as XARP to automatically detect ARP spoofing attacks without having to manually check the ARP tables. And we even learned how to detect other suspicious activities using Wireshark. Now, this is really good, but still has a few problems. First of all, we're only talking about detection. So even when we detect that someone is intercepting the connection, we can't really do much. All we could do is simply disconnect from the network, maybe change its password if we can, if we own the network, to something that's more difficult, or if this is a public network such as an airport, a hotel, or a college network, then all we can do is simply just disconnect and use a different network because we can't change its password. The other problem with the previous methods, like I said, they're only detection methods. Therefore, they'll only work if the target managed to become the man in the middle using ARP spoofing. But what if someone is able to intercept the connection using another method? For example, if someone is running a fake access point, like I showed you earlier, and you connect it to this fake access point. Or if you connect it to a hotel, a college, a public Wi-Fi network, a cafe network, and the admin of that network is actually collecting data, or someone or a hacker gained access to the admin's computer and again is analyzing the data. Because by default in fake networks and in any network, the admin is able to see the traffic because the traffic will have to go through their server or through their router. So the detection methods that I showed you earlier won't even work against this. Therefore, in this lecture, I want to discuss two solutions to this problem. So the idea is you use these solutions if you discover that you're being attacked, or if you're connecting to a network that you don't own and manage yourself. So if you're connecting to a college network, an airport network, a cafe network, or any other network that you yourself don't have control over. The solution to all of this is to encrypt your traffic. If you encrypt your traffic, we don't really care if somebody is able to intercept this traffic because our traffic is going to be encrypted, therefore it'll be gibberish and it won't be useful to anybody that is intercepting our traffic. So there are a number of ways to do this and I'll explain how they work as we go through it. So let me show you this in action. Right here, I'm already running BetterCap. And as you can see, it's already getting information. And right here is my target. And we're already on VulnWeb. And if we just click on anything just to show you, you'll see the domain is going to be detected in here. And then let's just quickly log in. You'll see this login attempt will be detected. So we have the username is admin and the password is test. Again, if we try, I'll just open a new tab and go to Stack Overflow. You'll see it'll load over HTTP, not HTTPS. So again, if I go ahead and log in, I'll be able to log in and detect the password. And the HSTS method that I showed you earlier, again, it'll work and we'll be able to bypass that and steal the password. So right now, this Kali machine is able to intercept all the data that is sent to and from my Windows machine right here. So the first method to prevent these attacks, so we don't care if we're being attacked. Again, I'm not running XARP, I'm not managing my ARP tables. I don't care if someone intercepts my data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to install a plugin on my browser called HTTPS Everywhere. So I'm going to be installing it on Firefox. I'll include its link in the resources of this lecture, but there is an equivalent of this plugin for most browsers such as Chrome and others. All you have to do is simply click on Add to Firefox or Add to Browser, whatever browser you use. We're going to click on Add in here. And that's it. The plugin is added in here. As you can see, we're going to click on OK. And we can manage it here from its icon on the top right. So as you can see right now, it's set to off. And if I click this, I will turn on this plugin. And basically what this plugin will do, you can think of it as if it adds HSTS support to more websites, pretty much to any website that uses HTTPS. Therefore, for example, when I tried to access Stack Overflow in here, I was able to downgrade it because my browser does not know that this website should be loaded over HTTPS, and BetterCap was downgrading the HTTPS requests to HTTP, like I explained in previous lectures. What this plugin will do, similar to HSTS, it has a list of websites that support HTTPS, and therefore, when we try to downgrade the HTTPS connection of this website to a HTTP connection, it'll tell the browser, no, don't do that, and it will upgrade it again back to a HTTPS connection. So let me show you. I'm just going to delete the history, and I'm going to load Stack Overflow again, and perfect. As you can see, it's loading with HTTPS in here. Therefore, now if I go and log in, my information will be encrypted, and therefore the hacker won't be able to see my username and password. So that's really, really good, but not perfect. Let me tell you why it's not perfect. First of all, if we go back to a HTTP website, again, similar to what we have in here in VulnWeb, so I'm just going to log out. And we'll log in again with another password. I'll just put the password now to 12345678990. We'll log in. And if we go back here to the logs all the way down, you'll see we are still able to detect the username and the password. So this plugin is really good for websites that support HTTPS. It'll force us to load HTTPS on websites that support HTTPS. But if you access a website that only uses HTTP, such as VulnWeb, I know there aren't a lot of websites that do that, but they still exist. So if you access any website that uses only HTTP, then that website is still open to the hacker. So the hacker can still see this information. They'll still be able to steal usernames and passwords if you send usernames and passwords to them. Not only that, but they will also still be able to replace downloads, serve you fake updates, or inject JavaScript code like we seen earlier and get you hooked to beef. HTTPS Everywhere also does not prevent the hacker from seeing the websites that you access and running DNS spoofing attacks. Let me show you. So if I just go to bing.com, for example, and then let's go to duckduckgo.com. Keep in mind, HTTPS Everywhere is still working, and let's go to the hacker machine and just look at our logs. So as you can see, we can still see that our target went to DuckDuckGo. We can still that the target went to Google. We can see that the target went to Bing. So we can still see the domain names, but we can't see the data that gets sent because that will be encrypted with HTTPS. So there is still some data that the hacker is able to get. If you want to take your security to the next level and completely encrypt everything you send and receive, then you should think about using a VPN. Therefore, in the next lecture, I'll explain to you what a VPN is, how it works, and how it can protect us from hackers or anybody that intercepts our connection.